Thank you for joining me and taking the time to go and watch my presentation right now. And right now we'll be discussing how does video editing affect viewers' emotions. As for the overview of the creator, hi, I'm Zassen Austin Bartolome, but I also go by Z. I'm a transfer student, which I did my 2 years at Lieber Community College. I'm doing my 2 years now in UH West. The high school I went to was at Pro City High School. The program I am attending is creative media, as my concentration will be general creative media. Today, for the executive summary, is that we're going to be talking about the general ideas, the plans for the capstone project, which I will be doing a documentary slash uh, conducting surveys for the overall for the project. My thesis statement, my objective slash rationale for the research, which the research that'll be conducted is showing this showcasing the certain elements of film and how popular and how frequent consumers come to watch films. And then lastly, we'll be discussing the significance of the proposed project slash practicum, which using the films as examples of how video editing is important to emotions and how it develops over time. With my thesis statement, I will be discussing about with how films are being produced and directed. Video editing is important to the film production and then it can shape viewers' emotions. For the objective and rationale is that I want to educate and discuss to others on how video editing and how it can affect others' emotions. The main reason why I chose this topic primarily was that I grew up watching a lot of films, mainly with family and friends, and also watching social influencers, mainly from Twitch, YouTube, and I mainly just want to explain how important it is when creating a film since it was mainly a hobby of mine, and without the sort of video editing, it would just all crumble basically. So the plans that I had for this senior capstone is that I will be doing a documentary for the effects and how video editing is important and how it affects emotions. Mainly, I wanted to go and do a documentary since I do believe that it will do justice for the video production since it will basically make sense for it. I'll be displaying certain films from movies or I'll be showing certain movies to other people, the selected few I'll be having that are either well known or well liked, or films that aren't as popular as they go and used to go and be. To people who are experienced or to little no experience with film production. This will also be as the primarily as the second idea or the second portion of it will be conducting interviews and doing surveys for people who want to go and give me the results of what their understanding and how they felt with films. So we will be talking about the significance over here now with the slides. As the first one today, we'll be talking about how we are very much dependent on certain elements for films. This can go from framework, lighting, music, special effects that are mainly produced using other programs such as Adobe Premiere, Adobe After Effects, and all other ones that we also have for our cloud. These are proved to be very useful as the way how putting all these things together is it draws in the viewers' attentions to be more invested, as without these elements, it would all crumble, and it is essentially the glue that puts in together for this for other pieces of films. The future implications that we'll go and have is that movies are still being produced on a yearly basis, and the way how it will continue to progress year by year by year, it will begin to form much more of a bond with the viewer and the film, also with the people who also directed and created the film, which it will form into more of a fan base and it will start to grow within the relationship between the two. The significance for the slide is that with how films are becoming more popular, not everyone is going to go and have like the same opinion, as ratings and opinions will matter over time, since it is mainly the reasons why these films are still making sequels, prequels, spin-offs, potentially just inspiring others to go and make more of these films, since they do retain feedback on how to create more of these. And it can be good, it can be bad. The more bad it is, then the production is just gonna go and fail. But if it continues to be more gradually improving and it becomes more successful, people want to go and come back to watching more of what the director has made, especially with how hyping up with the viewers. They can go and start showing off these teasers, trailers, all sorts of ways to make the viewer want to come back and wait until it's fully released. And with the implications is that people will still continue to watch and be entertained by it, since the way how every sort of film and trailer, it is basically giving them the expectations that, oh, hey, this is going to be good. Maybe it's going to be bad. We do not know. As more of these trailers or films, they are spread out through all sorts of like platforms such as television, movie theaters, and also streaming platforms such as YouTube, Twitch, all sorts of areas that you can be streaming off of, which basically will we'll go and try and see how people are going to go and feel about the film whenever it's ready in the near future. The data that I'm showing up on these two graphs, yes, there's gonna be two graphs I put up on here to go and like at least like show off what is, important on here. The first graph that's on the top is the difference of how the audience have bought tickets to general admission over the years, starting from 1999 to 2023. We can see throughout the year of starting from 1999 has gradually been growing from still just a little bit. It has dropped a little bit from that during that time. But from how the pandemic has actually affected us in 2020, it has spiked on exponential like level on how 2020 compared to 2023. It has spiked due to how many films have been produced and how the popularity has been gradually growing ever since. And all these graphs over here is all published by Stacida, which both of these have been created by Laura Carollo. And the second one down below is the box revenue of the popular films. As we can go and see, starting from the top, Avatar was the top one due to how it was the first of its making of the special effects, the way how it was a little bit controversial due to how it is related to real life scenarios, such as Endgame, which is actually pretty much of an eye crier compared to Titanic. But the reason why I'm playing up all of these is that I'm showing off what made these films like very popular over the years, since it did develop a lot within its narrative, its story writing, how the editing process was it with the music, the emotion that is displayed with the editing, and how all these scenes that they basically worked on was one of the reasons why that they were successful films. So the target audience that I want to focus on for this project is people who are actually interested in film production or enthusiasts who actually, or maybe even people who just like to watch movies. But the 3 points that I put up over here is people who are experienced with film production, inspiring new people who are beginners or who are beginning to go and do filmmaking, as freshmen are also coming in for the ACM program, and students who have no knowledge or insight of producing a film, as it will be a sort of like teaching for these people who have zero knowledge of what to go and do in making a film, or even know what challenges came up to making these films. And with this proposed solution, I put, with the new year coming, new students will be unaware and inexperienced with video editing. This documentary will be a start to teach beginners how important editing is in this field of work. With the preparations that I have in tow with my pre-production is that I am going to start creating these interview questions and trying to find the sort of mood that I want to go with this documentary. It can go from silly to goofy to serious, but I want to go with my own sort of style, which I want to go make it serious, but also a little bit of the like silliness of the films that I'll be showing up on when it's ready. I will be also having to go and prepare the filming and the interviewing as I am trying to get in touch with people who are experienced and people who also have made films or people who haven't even touched or even tried to go and do a film at all. During the production, I will go and start doing the interview with the selected few. I'll be doing my scenes with certain people, also recording B-roll, finding examples from films or just find movies that would be a good way to go and like be as primarily as B-roll or as examples, getting additional information that I can from these people as they will also explain themselves on how they felt, how does video editing actually work, and the collecting assets, which is basically just me getting all the essentials for putting the pieces together for the film, as the editing part will be pretty hefty during the time. For the post, I'll be doing all the polishing touches. I apologize for outside, by the way. I'll be putting the final touches with the entire documentary. I'll be piecing it all together. And lastly, I'll be posting it for the school, people who want to go and watch it as well, such as friends, family, strangers, if anything, if they will ever want to go and see this documentary, just for entertainment. For the deliverables, basically these are just my mood boards that I want to go and discuss about. As the first one over here is that I plan to go and share to people of the idea who are interested in the film industry. I'll be conveying and also discussing to people of how these films were made, how much effort that they put in certain films, asking their opinion, ask how they felt. I do want to go and do a one-on-one thing, but I feel like using this in a bigger group setting will bring in better results as it is better than having to nitpick who and what felt, as I could just get like the general statement from people. The second deliverable is that I'll be using Google Forms for the feedback survey and asking getting like better organized results of how they felt, what they liked, what they didn't like, asking questions, and also I'll be also answering these questions as well for those who will be questioning all of that. But since I will be survey doing a survey on them, I feel like doing this on the opinion part will also help a little bit since it'll be more of a organized part on my end for having to go and try to see who liked what they didn't like at all. So lastly, I will be educating a little bit on the editing process and the use of camera work, color palettes, music use, basically the essentials that are needed to go and do for video editing, as I have been experienced with using um the video editing programs such as Adobe Premiere, Audition, all sorts of other programs that you use for our classes. So with basically on how I will be doing this is just mainly streaming them to people who are interested in knowing how to go and make a film or know how to go and what it takes to go and put it all together. Since people will be unaware of how to go and do it because I was not experienced at all. I basically just was messing around and just finding out what to go and do most of my time as I was editing during my years. But overall, I'm pretty sure that this will go and be a good idea to go and maybe educate the audience of how to go and make a film and how important it is to actually piece it all together, since every single aspect will be a good way to make a film. And thank you so much for listening and taking your time to go and actually listen. I'm more than welcome to go and answer any questions. If you have anything, please let me know.